Sean,
Mike?
what is this? A crossover episode? Stop doing the do thing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to What Is This? A crossover episode, a BoJack Horseman podcast starring me and Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean.
You are Sean.
You're Mike.
That is true. What about this weather we're having, Sean?
Oh,
I cannot believe this weather we're having.
I didn't know how the rest of the bit went, and I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't
did it wrong
equipped.
because Todd says, "Can you believe this weather we're having?" But Sean,
Who do you think of the two of us is Todd, and who is Mr. Peanut Butter?
I think I'm Mr. Peanut Butter.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I said it. I didn't like it, but I said it.
But what is worse, you being Mr. Peanut Butter or me being Todd?
I think it's more like I'm Miss Daisy and you're Minnie Driver. That's what I think.
That was a good one. I wrote that one down.
Yeah, good bit. Anyway, the episode we're covering today is episode 9 of season 1 of BoJack Horseman, Horse Majeure. And we talked about last episode how it force majeure is a term meaning like a. You were saying signing a contract, but I said, no, Sean, it's about a force of nature.
I'm pretty sure I said both. I don't think you brought up either of them.
I've heard it both ways, Sean. Anyway,
that's the next podcast. This was the contract half. I'm going to move so fast past that part that I'm not going to give you the option of saying we're not doing a psych podcast. I'm just going to. But it was illegal in the legal sense, I think, right? Because he's trying to get them to call off the wedding.
Yeah, I think you're stretching there. I think my thing about him being a force of nature that ruins everything in his path is more right. The thing you said is wrong.
Maybe
anyway,
it works on both levels. Maybe we've heard it both ways.
Here's the synopsis that IMDb gives us. A love-struck BoJack tries to sabotage a wedding. Todd accepts a surprising new professional role. And this episode aired, Sean, on August 22nd, 2014.
When did the last episode air?
What's that?
When did the last one air?
I don't remember. But this one aired on August 22nd, 2014. So let's look back at what happened. God, that was 8 years ago.
Man.
Over 8 years ago. That's crazy.
By the time we're done with this podcast, it'll have been like 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Kamala Harris, California Attorney General Kamala Harris, marries lawyer Douglas Emhoff in Santa Barbara.
Douglas.
You may know her now as the 49th U.S. Vice President.
I don't know why I'm laughing on this one. Also a senator, formerly a senator.
Formerly a senator, and
she's
I wonder if anybody tried to ruin her marriage. You think anybody tried to ruin her and Douglas's marriage?
Her and Douglas's marriage? I
gotta look at, what does Douglas look like?
I've seen what Douglas looks like.
If instead of the second lady, you're called the second gentleman?
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't know that.
What did you think it was going to be?
I didn't know. It just said, I typed it in and it said Douglas Emhoff, the second gentleman of the United States of America.
The second lord? Like, what do you...
I don't know. I didn't think about it.
The second... I mean, well, I guess, okay, we're way off on a... We're way off on a tangent, but I mean, I wonder if they had this planned at all? Like... Or did they, when she was elected, did they have to be like, fuck, what are we going to call him?
Yeah,
or did they ever at some point go, just in case, we're going to call them this?
No, I don't think anybody planned it because, like, the men that are in power would never say, yeah, a woman's going to be vice president someday. Yeah, right.
So are you against the idea of second gentleman?
I'm not, no.
No?
Second gentleman sounds like a podcast you and my brother would do. Anyway, back to August 22nd, 2014, the most important part of the podcast. Number one song in America was Rude by Magic. And the number one song in the UK was Am I Wrong by Nico and Vinz. And, of course, as always, the second Ebola death in Nigeria, Africa's most populated country. So, Horse Majeure. Sean, what did you think of this episode?
I really liked this episode. It kind of broke up the formula a little bit. I liked kind of following through the events of a week. I like that. This whole show has been more... God, I can never remember what the right term is. Serialized? Is serialized the one where everything is different or everything is like...
I think serialized is when there's an overarching story, isn't it?
Yeah, right? And then what's a procedural?
I feel like procedural is like a crime show. I don't think that has anything to do with what you're talking about.
I guess. Okay, well, yeah, that's weird. You wouldn't think that would be what that would mean, but you're right. It is a television series, film, or novel characterized by detailed, realistic treatment of professional procedures, especially police procedures.
Yep.
That's a really literal interpretation of the word.
It's a procedure.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the other one? What's the opposite of serialized?
I don't know.
Opposite.
You're the smart man here. You're the Todd.
Is that true?
That you're Todd or that you're smart?
Yes.
Yes.
Episodic.
Yes. Episodic.
Episodic. I thought this was gonna be an episodic episode, and instead it is a serialized episode.
Serialized.
And
episodic.
Yeah.
We're trying out for the Mario movie.
Episodic is Italian, and serialized is French, apparently.
Serialized.
Serialized. Or episodic.
Bonjour. Serialized. What is going on?
I don't know. But anyways, I like that it kind of picked up right where the last episode ended. And it also picked up on some plot threads from earlier in the season that I really didn't think were going to come back. I thought it was just going to be like, this is a funny little joke. You know?
Really? You didn't think they were going to bring back Margot Martindale and
well, I don't know if
the receipt from Beast Pie?
I can't remember if you said that she was going to come back or not. But I didn't think that that plot line was going to come back. I thought if she did come back, it would be like Bojack's pulling another wacky, stunt. So, yeah, no, I was not expecting that.
Okay. Well, that being said, I do really like this episode as well. I think this episode was much needed after the previous episode, which definitely had a bit of more darkness to it than this one does.
Yeah.
This one doesn't shy away from it necessarily, but it's definitely just Mr. Peanut Butter. This is probably the first real big Mr. Peanut Butter episode.
What a sentence.
There's that original episode where we do the reality show with them, and you get a little taste of the peanut butter there, but this is like a whole peanut butter sandwich. We actually are giving him storylines now and things to do, and this episode also introduces one of my favorite characters of the show, Vincent Adultman.
Don't. You're fucking lying.
He comes back? One of my favorite characters, Vincent Adultman.
You're... okay. Incredible joke, right? Throughout the entire episode.
Yes.
You're telling me he's gonna, be around?
Do you think she's going to break up with Vincent Adultman off screen?
Yes, I really hope so.
No. Come on, Sean.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Well,
he's too important.
Yeah, to me. This episode, you're right, it is a lighter tone than last time, but it continues the trend of Bojack's life is falling apart.
Yes.
And all of his relationships are being destroyed one by one. We kind of saw that happen with Herb Kazaz last time, and this time I think we really focus in on Princess Carolyn is kind of growing distanced. Obviously, Diane, everything is fucked up there.
Yeah, the fallout from the end of the last episode with Diane for sure, and then and then Todd comes to a realization.
That's the one where I was gonna say everybody else is kind of steadily growing away from Bojack, but Todd is on a fucking freight train out of town.
Right.
This episode, I think, while it has a lot of stuff going on, I think the most important like setup for BoJack is probably that Todd is no longer like I don't know. I don't think Todd's going to be real happy going forward. I think there's going to be some problems there.
Definitely. So let's I guess recap. We pick up where the last episode left off, where BoJack kissed Diane. She's in the car. He gets in. They have a very awkward, like convincing each other it's not a big deal kind of thing. And then Diane just gets out in the middle of traffic and says she'll walk the rest of the way home.
It's like 15 miles or something.
Yeah. She goes, I'll just walk it. And it pans out very comically to show the traffic that he's in. And then he exclaims, Todd, we got to ruin this wedding. Oh, shit, I left Todd in Malibu. And there's a Chekhov's Todd laying in the grass. I think you thought that was going to be more of a deal.
I did. I thought, well, because
they fooled you.
Well, the show's always keeping me on my toes because there was the one time where Todd went to jail and I was like, oh, he's going to be out next episode. And then he was in jail for an episode. Mm-hmm. But then at the end of that one, they established like a prison break and that hasn't mattered since.
Right.
So like the show really keeps me on my toes about what is going to matter and what isn't going
to. It's tough to know.
I think this pickup right here at the beginning is really good because first of all, it's really funny, but having it be at the beginning of this episode instead of the end of the last episode helps. Like, because if this was at the end of the last episode, like if they continued through the rest of this scene, it would ruin the tone of the episode, I think.
Yeah.
So
sure. The way it ends is really good.
It makes me glad that we don't like binge the show because I feel like if I was binging it, I don't know how I'd feel about like that really sad ending or that really messed up ending going into like, okay, now let's have a joke about all of that like immediately. Right. I think that might have felt a little weird.
Which this show is a binge show though. Like this is a show that releases or when it was coming out, it was releasing all at once on August 22nd, 2014. Sean, do you remember what happened on August 22nd? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Oh God. Oh no, don't ever.
So,
okay, but how do you? I know it was a long time ago, but do you remember how you felt when you watched this episode for the first time?
This one, the ending of the last episode definitely stuck out for me. I remember that because I remember like that very artistic, like play the first chord of the song 4 times before kicking into it. Mm-hmm. This one, what I really remember about this one is Todd finding out about the sabotage. And the whole infiltrating Mr. Peanut Butter's home, which is a good bit we'll get to, and then obviously Vincent Adultman, the most important character in BoJack Horseman. So those are the things I really remember. I don't really remember thinking, because I know I probably watched these in a row. I don't remember thinking, oh, tonal whiplash, because this is kind of tonal whiplash, the show, right?
Yeah, you're right.
They do it well, but it is definitely like, hey, here's a funny thing, but also, the infinite void, and you're like, oh, fuck,
the infinite void.
Anyway, we get through that. The fucking intro that the show plays. And Todd and BoJack are at a bar, and Princess Carolyn shows up, and they're planning to... BoJack's planning to sabotage the wedding, and he asks Princess Carolyn if she has any ideas, and she's over it. She's like, listen, you said this was an emergency, and this is what you're talking about. They are getting married in a year. I'm gonna go meet somebody. And she meets Vincent Adultman, who is very clearly... 3 kids on top of each other's shoulders in a trench coat, Little Rascal style. And he is the best. I love Vincent Adultman. She asks what he likes doing for fun, and he says business transactions. Would you like an alcohol?
I just can't believe that this character is going to be relevant past this episode.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. This show might as well from now on be called the Vincent Adultman Show.
I don't know why, but when you said like, "Oh, I'm so excited to talk about Vincent," I really thought your follow-up was going to be D'Onofrio.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Sean, are you a mind reader?
What?
Because Vincent D'Onofrio does show up in BoJack Horseman.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say that Vincent D'Onofrio voices.
No. I actually don't know who voices. He's not listed here. Hold on. Who voices Vincent? It doesn't say. It's probably like Raphael Bob Waxberg or something.
My notes for this scene are Princess, what are you doing? Oh my god. Oh no. What is happening?
So you're more on the BoJack side of things of why does she not realize this is 3 kids in a trench coat?
Well, because like Princess Carolyn for the most part seems sane to me. So this was like, I was like, oh no. Like, and maybe that's just everybody else is so insane that I've thought that she's been sane in comparison. Mm-hmm. But this is the moment where the show goes, fucking no, she isn't.
This is pretty wacky. This is pretty wacky for her. I agree. Anyway, we cut to BoJack's plan to break Todd into Mr. Peanut Butter's house. I don't remember what his goal, just to find.
I don't think we'd go to that immediately. First, we go to Mr. Peanut Butter getting pulled over in traffic.
That's right. Mr. Peanut Butter loses his license because he can't stop chasing the mailman.
And he says to the officer, first of all, the cop is a cat, which is perfect.
Yeah, but it's Officer Meow Meow Fuzzy Face.
Have we seen him before?
Yes, he's been in other episodes. Yep.
Okay.
He's a reoccurring character, Officer Meow Meow Fuzzy Face.
But Mr. Peanut Butter says, Officer, the mail truck pulled up right next to me. I got a bad vibe. What was I supposed to do? Not chase the mail truck? Which is so funny to me. And then the mail guy pulls up next to him and Mr. Peanut Butter's eyes narrow. And then the fucking mail guy's eyes narrow. And then Mr. Peanut Butter just starts barking and driving after him. And like, for some reason, when he said, what was I supposed to do? Not chase the mail truck. In my mind, I thought he got out of the car and started running after the mail truck. So when he starts driving his car after the mail truck, I was like, of course. How could I be so ridiculous?
Right.
You know? Like,
right. What were you thinking? Why would he run after the mail truck when he could drive?
Exactly.
Why would he be pulled over in a car if he was sprinting after the mail truck? Hold on.
I don't know.
Come on, John.
I don't know. This scenario was so ridiculous. I just I didn't know what to think.
And it's one of we've talked about this before, but it's one of the really smart things the show does with the anthropomorphic animal people. You know what I mean? Like, they don't just act like normal people. They act like if their animals were actual people, you know?
Yeah. And I love that the mailman is still like a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
And he's secretly, he's like, you know, in a sporting event when one guy fouls another guy, but the ref doesn't see it, so the second guy fouls him, you know, and he gets caught and gets the whistle blown on him. That's what the mailman is. He's getting away with it, and Mr. Peanut Butter knows.
I was also thinking of the scene. I was thinking of the scene in The Boys when Homelander is in the stadium. And you just see in the camera, like, Butcher staring up at him from a couple rows down or whatever.
Yeah, it is a lot like that. That's true.
Mr. Peanut Butter is a lot like Homelander.
Yeah, he's quite a bit like Homelander somehow. So, like I was saying before, you were absolutely right in telling me that I forgot about that scene. BoJack and Mr. Peanut Butter, BoJack and Todd go to break into Mr. Peanut Butter's home to get dirt on him to try and cancel the wedding. And he gives Todd a cyanide capsule.
Yes, but I think there's one more scene before this because I have a note. And I can't remember what the context of this note is. But at some point, somebody says, I'm going to sit like Michelle Pfeiffer in the Coolio video.
Oh, yes. Okay, so there is like a slight subtle B plot, and you're absolutely right. But it's all connected because everything has to do with Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah.
But it's Diane not getting cold feet.
Yes.
And they have a discussion. He shows up to tell her that he lost his license, and he needs her to drive him around, and she says she can't because she's writing her book, but she starts to like talk like a bit nervously crazy about the wedding. She does this a couple times throughout the episode where she's like, no, I'm okay, everything's fine, you don't have to, you know, like that kind of stuff. And he goes, let me sit like Michelle Pfeiffer in the Coolio video, did you know that reference? I'd be surprised if you know that reference.
Whenever we're watching this show, because I was 15 when this show came out,
right,
I write down the pop culture references that I don't get. And so Michael, my guide through BoJack Horseman and the pop culture references that I'm too young to understand. What the fuck is he talking about?
First of all, I would just like to say we lost Coolio this year, so rest in peace, Coolio.
Oh, yes.
I literally saw Coolio at Riot Fest like 2 weeks before he died.
Oh, that's so
which was really crazy, actually, and a very, very surreal kind of weird thing. Do you know the song "Gangsta's Paradise"?
Yes.
So, "Gangsta's Paradise," huge hit. When it came out, and it was from the movie. People don't remember this movie called Dangerous Minds.
Okay.
Where Michelle Pfeiffer is a school teacher, and she goes into an inner city to teach the ghetto youth English or something.
Okay.
But,
I've seen this movie a million times. Not this movie, but this movie.
Right. And so it's like, the kids start gang banging and doing drugs, and she's trying to like save them. But there's this in the music video for Gangsta's Paradise, which I'm pulling up right now. Coolio's sitting there during the intro. And she pulls up, there's a chair. He's like smoking weed or something. And she walks in a leather jacket. And the chair's already facing that way, like backwards, but she sits in it and puts her hands on the top and goes, "You want to tell me what this is all about?" And then he starts rapping at her.
Okay.
And it was like a big deal at the time because music videos were a lot bigger then.
Yeah.
But it's just like this funny like pop culture thing where Michelle Pfeiffer is in the music video outside of like the movie footage in the music video. And just sits on. And so the gag is that was ridiculous, but then the gag is also that the chair he's trying to sit in isn't the right type of chair to do that, because the chair she sits in doesn't have handles or armrests, right? So she can straddle it that way, where he has to put his stupid legs over the armrest. So that is me explaining that reference to you. I hope it was funny.
I'm going to continue to take us down a rabbit hole, because I looked up Dangerous Minds and I was just looking through the Wikipedia page, and it said that there's a TV show.
I think they made a TV show. Yeah, it was. Which it's weird because people don't remember that part of the Gangsta's Paradise, but I think it was a fairly successful movie. Maybe because of the song, because that song's a legendary song. Weird Al did Amish Paradise.
Yes. That's where I heard it first, and then I heard the original.
Yeah, churned butter once or twice, living in an Amish paradise. A little kid slapped me in the butt last week. I just smiled at him, and I turned the other cheek. Classic lines from Weird Al.
So, Dangerous Minds TV show, short-lived, 17 episodes, and then it was done. It was gone. But I just scrolled, I did the scroll on Wikipedia. You just scroll down to see how long the article is, whatever. So I scroll. It's literally just the list of episodes. There's no like production details or anything to skim through. But the name of the last episode, as I hit the bottom of the article, episode 17. The last episode is titled "Teach, Don't Touch."
I'm sorry. Don't touch what?
And it's not funny. But because that was the name of the episode, and that was the first thing I saw. The description of the episode is: after Luann hugs a distressed student, the lad accuses her of molesting him.
Oh my God. No wonder they canceled this show. What the hell?
First of all, just scrolling and seeing Teach Don't Touch was like, fucking what? Then I read the description and I was like, what? And then as I was reading the description, I went, why does the description call him the lad? Isn't that kind of a weird? That's like who calls it like the lad? The
lad,
like a little lad. Like, is it supposed to be? Is it after Luann hugs a distressed student, the lad accuses her? Like, what?
Yeah,
I don't
Sean,
know.
You're asking me questions about Dangerous Minds, the TV show, and we're here to talk about BoJack Horseman. So I think we've gotten off track a little bit.
We can go back. I thought this was important.
Yeah, I don't know why you thought that. So anyway, Sean, are there any other scenes before they try to infiltrate Mr. Peanut Butter's house?
I don't think so, because my next note is 12-point master plan with a cyanide pill.
Yes. And Todd asks him what the cyanide pill is for, and he goes, "Oh, all right, don't worry about that, time to go." And so he lifts him over the fence, and Todd cuts the hole in the window and opens it, but then steps on a glass table and just smashes it, and then covers it with a poster. in classic Todd fashion. And as he's going to sit at Mr. Peanut Butter's computer, Mr. Peanut Butter walks in.
And immediately when Mr. Peanut Butter walks in, Bojack goes, "Take the cyanide, Todd. Take the cyanide."
The cyanide.
Like
Instant.
Like, it's still recoverable, but immediately he's like, "No, just kill yourself.
Just take the cyanide. Take the cyanide." So Todd throws off his headset and begins talking to Mr. Peanut Butter, who says, "You're here to interview to be my driver." And Todd's like, "Yes, I am." And Mr. Peanut Butter's so goddamn dumb. He goes, "Well, I didn't even put out an ad yet."
Yeah.
And then he gives him his resume.
Yeah. So that's what I have to ask. Like, Mr. Peanut Butter doing this interview, does this give you any flashbacks, Mike? Like, how'd you feel while watching this episode? With this part?
Flashbacks to what?
Of because you interview people for work, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't give them my resume, though.
No, but have you ever had like a Todd interview?
No, because like I'm not that dumb, right? So I'm not I'm not just hiring somebody who just walked in, yeah, no, I'm going to say no. I've never had a Todd. I've had bad interviews, don't get me wrong.
But never to the level of like a Todd
I'll tell you one story, even though this is like the most off-track podcast we've ever done.
Yeah.
So I'm interviewing this guy, okay? And he's in his probably late 20s, okay? And, we don't hire felons at my job for obvious reasons. Well, okay, let me rephrase. Our policy is we don't hire violent felons, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like if it was they did something, drug related and they're clean or something, we would at least, look at their application and interview them and I've never hired a felon, but our policy is not to hire them unless it's our policy is not to completely disqualify them unless it's a violent felony.
Yeah.
So this guy comes in and he's in his late 20s and it says on his application that he was a felon, and normally I'm like, I'm not even gonna call this person. You know what I mean? Just because it's like a felon and a family fun center don't exactly mix. So anyway, I'm here in the interview. I'm listening to the guy. He seems like a nice guy, and I'm talking to him, and I go, "Hey man, I gotta ask about your felony." And he goes, "All right, well let me tell you a story." So he tells me this story about how he was drunk with his friends. They were partying. And he took his mom's friend's car to go get more beer, and he crashed it, like not far from where he left. So he ran back and stole this kid's dad's car, and then got pulled over, and he was drunk, and so he went to prison, okay, because he did like 2 crazy things in one night. And then he goes, "Also, I escaped prison." And I said, "What?" I said, "Right now?" He said, No, I did my time, but during my time, I escaped and got caught. And I said, "What?" He goes, "No, seriously, you can look me up. I'm the only person to ever escape from blank county prison." And I go, "No way." He goes, "Yeah." So sure enough, I didn't hire him because what the fuck. But after the interview, I look, and sure enough, this motherfucker's on the front page of a newspaper because he's the only person to escape from this county's prison ever. And I was like, what a story to tell me in your interview. Yeah, sure, you're hired. Like, what?
When I wrote down, does this give any flashbacks, Mike? That wasn't the story that I was expecting.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Anyway, there's 2 really good bits in this section where he gives him the resume. Todd gives it back, and he goes, "Oh, great resume," or something. And he goes, "I'm just kidding. I know this is my resume." But then he goes, "But I see you're a Northwestern man."
I was just like, come on.
And Todd has out of his element, is just like, "Yeah, go fighting Westerns." And then he goes, "And I see here you do a Rodney Dangerfield impression." And Todd goes, "Oh, I'm Roger Dangerfield." And he goes, "No respect indeed." It's just such a stupid bit. But he hires Todd to be his driver. And so they get along swimmingly, and that's the whole bit with, "Can you believe this weather we're having? I cannot believe this weather."
Yeah.
Just Mr. Peanut Butter is just pleased as punch to have a new friend. like Todd. So Bojack goes, hey, we can use this to like get in and figure out what's going on with Peanut Butter so we can sabotage the wedding. And Todd's growing less and less enthused with this plan, which is a plan that he was never really enthused by in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes Todd nervous, though, because he doesn't want to betray Mr. Peanut Butter. So what Mr. Peanut Butter says, one of my favorite things of the episode, where Todd's like mumbling to himself, nervous, and he goes, hey, man, if you're doing some of that small talk, mind throwing a little bit back here? It's like, what a stupid fucking thing to say. And
I mean, you know how he is.
Yeah, dude. Mr. Peanut Butter is just one of my favorites. So we get some more scenes that aren't super important, where Diane kind of feeling
like she doesn't really know what she wants.
Right. But they never give you the vibe that it's because of Bojack. No. Which is good, because that's not the kind of story they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh,
well, she's never been enthused with this idea.
Right. She's not the kind of person that enjoys getting married, right?
And especially not to Mr. Peanut Butter.
Right. Right. So she's just the kind of person that kind of commitment is very frightening.
Yeah.
To her. But I'm glad they never try to paint it as, oh, it's because of Bojack.
Yeah. Well, this doubt has existed since, Yeah. I mean, even the lead up to the engagement, like she was going to break up with him.
Right. So there is a scene where she shows up to Bojack's house, and he goes, hey, weren't you supposed to be here half hour ago? And she says, I've been waiting in my car. I think I can finish the book without you. And ends the conversation with, why'd you have to go and make things weird, Bojack? Walks away.
Also, during that conversation,
are you going to talk about the rosebud?
Yeah, where Bojack is, I really don't even remember the full context of why he's saying this, but he just mentions the 3-nippled woman.
So the context is, he goes, but don't you want to know what my rosebud is? And she goes, you already told me. It's the nude magazine where you saw the 3-nippled woman. And he looks off in the distance and goes, who was she?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Oh, classic Bojack. We also get some like interstitial bits with Vincent Adultman, where Bojack's calling Princess Carolyn to try and get help, and she's like on a date with Vincent Adultman, and
which is insane.
He's trying to drink wine, and he can't because he has a broom hand. And
yeah, can we? I want to make sure that we are not glossing over the fact that in this episode, that is the most insane thing happening.
Vincent Adultman?
Yes.
You think he's the most insane thing in the episode?
By far. He's 3 kids in a trench coat, Mike, with a broom hand. You don't think he's the most insane thing happening?
I love that because of the way you feel about Vincent Adultman, it's turning the bit from the episode into this show. Where I'm just like, what's the big deal? He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Hey, I hung out with him a few times. You should get to know him.
Yeah. But also, Mr. Peanut Butter throughout this episode is dropping something that I don't know if they've mentioned and I've forgotten, but he's been married before.
Yes, he says he's been married twice, actually.
Which is I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So he's been married twice, and we'll not really a spoiler, but we'll get to we'll find out who he's been married to. Okay. Both women, actually.
In one of those scenes you were talking about where, she's kind of like, oh, I don't really know how I feel about this, Mr. Peanut Butter has the great line, invitations are just scams made up by the post office to keep track of us.
Yeah, true. And he starts growling, and she goes, easy, boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like I'm all over the place with this episode right now, but we're doing our best, guys. Okay, so
yeah.
They have the one funny bit that comes back to bite Bojack is he finds jury duty.
Yeah,
and he goes, it's Tuesday, and he goes, this is a problem for Friday, Bojack.
Wait, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, really?
When the I don't know why, but for some reason it just. I think so much was happening in this episode that little jury duty setup didn't cross my mind. So when the jury duty came back, I thought it was still funny, but I didn't realize they set it up like that.
Yeah, he says this is a problem for Friday, BoJack, and then when he realizes he has to go, he goes, "Damn you, Tuesday, BoJack!"
Yeah.
They shit.
And I think, well, during that scene when he finds out about the jury duty, I think he's also talking to Todd. And like I wrote down, Todd is getting along great with Mr. Peanut Butter, but I'm like, Todd would get along great with the dog. Like,
of course, he's a good boy.
He's like, Todd, what are they doing? What's their plan? Like, what's happening in the next couple days or whatever? And Todd mentions that in the next couple days, Congress is going to be voting about the education bill. And I was like, Todd, why the fuck do you know that?
That's true. That's true. Todd's
yeah, go on.
Todd's smarter than you think he is.
I guess, but I just like, this isn't the thing that I expected him to know about. Yeah. On the list of things that I expect Todd to know about, it's not when Congress will be voting about the upcoming education bill.
Hey, Todd knows things, you know?
Yeah, I guess. He drinks and he knows things. Know?
Does he know things? Let's find out. So BoJack finds out that Todd is taking Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter to the bank, and BoJack's like, I can use that. And so he rings up character actress Margot Martindale. And
I was like, what?
She's back. And he pulls the old like let's make real art, Margot Martindale kind of thing. It's like he's having her try to stand up people at a bank. Yeah. Like that's not a movie.
Yeah, I just remember I can't. Whenever I see her, all I can think of is, I don't feel good about what we did, BoJack. You know, at the end of that episode, I was like, oh my God.
So BoJack happens to be at the bank that they're at, and he's...
well, does that happen immediately?
I'm pretty sure it happens pretty quick, yeah.
Okay. I might just have no notes about that. Yeah. Sorry, I just don't have any notes about that scene. Yeah.
So she accidentally starts talking to the wrong woman. And BoJack has to be like, over here. And so basically what happens is through the fear of the stand-up, it makes Diane realize she wants to which we didn't say this in the scene at the store earlier. They said they don't want to have a big wedding. Let's have a wedding next month. And then this causes them to make the wedding next week or that weekend.
Yeah.
Because life is short, right? And Margot Martindale's heart is melted by it, and she goes, "Keep the ring." And the whole time, BoJack's like in the background going, "No."
Yeah. And then the cops bust in and they start beating her.
Yeah, beating Margot Martindale down.
So the one thing about this scene actually is it starts my favorite bit for the rest of the episode, which is an ongoing Mr. Peanut Butter bit where whenever we cut either to or away from Mr. Peanut Butter, he's in the middle of telling an insane story. So when Mr. Peanut Butter walks into this room, he's going, that little boy never found his mother. And then that's it.
So this isn't a new bit.
Is it not?
No, he's done this a couple times already. I just don't think you keyed onto it in different episodes. He's done this.
Okay.
A lot of times it has to do with Erica. He'll say the name Erica, like off screen. Erica, I'm making this up, but Erica, when did your foot grow back? Like he'll just say something insane to Erica, and he does it when he's giving a toast at their rehearsal dinner as well.
Yeah, I have more notes about it. I wrote down every time he did it, I think.
Yeah, he's done this a couple times, but it's not as obvious, I guess, that it is in this episode, and he will continue to do this throughout the show. So I'm glad you like that bit.
I do love how rehearsed like this robbery is, where the lady's like, that ring is a symbol of your love. If you don't care about the ring, it really makes me wonder if you care about the woman wearing it.
This bank robber's making some pretty conyard points. Like Jack's like chipping in, you know.
Yeah.
So they have their rehearsal dinner at the same bar that Princess Carolyn met Vincent Adultman, believe it or not.
And when we cut into that scene, this is the bit you were talking about a second ago. But Mr. Peanut Butter says, Erica did have to lose the foot.
Yeah.
But she gained a friend.
Yes,
and then
that's right.
And then it just, he says a bunch of normal stuff about like we're moving the wedding up or whatever. And then he says, or he's like, oh, and you guys will be able to go to the open bar after I finish this toast. It was winter in Prague and the consumption hung low in the air. And then it cuts away from it.
Yeah. Good old Mr. Peanut Butter. Of note, this isn't really of note, but in the background of this scene, the girl that they in the episode of Mr. Peanut Butter's reality show that he calls Jelly is in the background, just sitting there in her misprint shirt.
Oh, really? That's funny.
She's just there. I don't think she ever talks again in an episode, but she shows up a couple times. Bojack shows up and he tells them, "Hey, why don't you guys have your wedding at my restaurant on me?" Mm-hmm. And that's also part of his plot to stop the wedding. Also,
Todd mentions that he's been hanging out with Vincent a ton. I don't know if you said that. I don't think so.
That's true. That's true. There's more bits where Bojack is literally just over and over. You realize this is 3 kids in a trench coat, Little Rascals style.
Yeah.
And Todd's going, "Hey, I don't want to get in the middle of you and Princess Carol." And he goes, "It's not what it is. It's just these 3 children." Like Bojack's just beside himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that they brought back up the restaurant thing from a couple episodes, because that's, again, like, I think something that this show so far in the first season has done really well is throwaway bits that I don't think are going to come back, but then they come back, and then sometimes there are throwaway bits that I think are going to come back, and they don't come back.
World building.
Like, yeah, world building and setup, they wrote the show well. But when he buys the restaurant in that episode, like, it's a pissing contest between him and Mr. Peanut Butter, right? Like, at least on his end. I don't know that Mr. Peanut Butter is picking up on it, but to him, he's trying to be like, look at how much more money I have than Mr. Peanut Butter, right?
Right.
And so he buys the restaurant, and I did not think that was going to come back, but then for him to be like, "You can use my restaurant," I was like, oh shit, maybe these writers know what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of callbacks like that, and sometimes it takes a really long time for the callbacks to come back to. So he has this plan to stop the wedding, but then he remembers he has jury duty. And he says, "Damn you, Tuesday, Bojack," and he goes to jury duty, and the lawyer is a sloth. And he keeps going, "This man right here is who you saw?"
Well, before he goes to jury duty, that's the scene. So the scene you mentioned earlier, actually before we started recording, where Mr. Peanut Butter is outside with Todd, and Todd is like, "I wasn't peeing. I was just pulling out my penis."
Yeah. So Mr. Peanut Butter shows up in the alley to Todd, and he's making Todd think that he knows that Bojack wants Todd to betray him, but really he goes, "Something was happening. Is that I was making a good friend." And, so that's of course not what he thinks. And then Mr. Peanut Butter actually shares that he's nervous about the wedding because Diane's nervous, and Todd just listens.
Well, yeah, and he just keeps talking, and he says that he has dreams where he wakes up one day and Diane has left, and all he feels is relief.
Yeah.
Which is like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's actually a pretty common feeling for men leading up to a wedding, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the jitters,
Yeah, it's just this show, man.
Yeah.
Like, because it comes right off the heels of, first of all, I'm not peeing, I'm just taking out my penis.
Yes.
And it comes on the heels as well of, like, everything with fucking Vincent Adult Man. Like, yeah, it's just, and then there's one more scene before we get to the stuff with the
maybe you should recap the episodes.
It's just, I take notes in order, so I know, like...
See, I didn't take notes this time because I was watching while I was doing other things, but...
That's all right. But so the one scene is Todd putting it all together. He has his Pepe Sylvia moment.
Yes, but you're right.
He puts it together wrong in so many ways until finally he lands on the correct answer.
Yeah, he has to get to, like, plants, like, as in, like, actual, like, plants with, like, chlorophyll and shit to get that Miss Margot Martindale was a plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just kind of goes, "Oh, man."
Yeah, and I think that's going to bite Bojack in the ass later on. I think that's, like... We're going to... Well, I mean, I think you kind of... there's a scene later on that we'll talk about, but... Yeah, and then when they go to the jury duty thing, it does the Law and Order bum bum.
Yes. And one of my favorite animal bits is the sloth who just continues to ask the same question over and over.
Yeah.
And then he goes, All right, Your Honor, no further questions. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Lots of further questions. And Bojack's like, God damn it, because he's just trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
And the juror he's next to, and they go into the next day, and the jury he's next to, the trial subsides and it's done, and he goes, "We did a good thing today, Bojack. You know who won today?" And the guy says justice, Bojack goes, "Mr. Peanut Butter," because he missed the wedding. He missed his chance to sabotage it.
And and also
Margot
the
Martindale.
character actress, she's here as well,
and she's gone her way to prison, and she's excited because she's gonna bite the finger off the baddest prison bitch in prison. But she gives him some advice of, you got to tell Diane how you feel, Bojack. And, and then you got to go to the biggest person in the wedding and bite their finger off. But she tells him, hey, you got to go let her know how you feel. And so he drives his car into the valet stand at his own restaurant, almost killing the giraffe valet, but then he tosses him the keys, and Todd's outside. And Bojack's like, Todd, did I miss it? And Todd gives him this speech that's basically like, he goes, I got to let her know how I feel. And Todd's like, she knows, Bojack.
Yeah.
And that's like the sobering thing for Bojack. Like, she knows, like, you need to stop making everything about you. Today is not about you. And Todd's really talking about how he ruined his rock opera, but it applies to what's going on there too. And Bojack actually does probably the right thing by not, saying anything to her other than congratulations. And
he doesn't go, I object.
Right, right. Like, he doesn't do the fucked up Bojack thing for once. But what's a piece of very good writing, and that I forgot about, towards the end of the episode, he's sitting there and she comes up and thanks him for being there, and he's like, I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm sorry I made things weird. And she goes, well, they weren't that weird, right? Just this little bit of, oh, fuck, I should have done the Bojack thing. I should have done the shitty Bojack thing, right?
Yeah.
They just give him that little bit, and you can see it like in the way they animate his eyes. He lights up a little bit, and it's like, oh, that's so fucking dastardly.
When they're entering the reception after the wedding, they play what I think is the funniest song choice in everything. They start playing "Walking on Sunshine."
Yeah.
Which is just a funny song. And then like the Todd stuff kind of comes to a head with Mr. Peanut Butter wants to hire him as what is it called?
PB Libby. He's the vice president of West Coast Operations. Is that what it is?
Yeah, executive vice president of West Coast Operations.
And doesn't Todd say, does that mean I can control the sea? Doesn't he say something like that?
He does, yeah. I remember, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Mr. Peanut Butter's like, I took all the mirrors off your car because I don't want you looking back.
And he goes, isn't that dangerous? I don't care. I'm not driving.
Yeah. And and then we have the scene you talk about where, like,
Diane and Bojack talk. But then Vincent Adultman's there. Yeah. And Bojack gives like, okay, so they really spin you a little bit here, because Bojack's giving what seems to be one of these like monologue speeches that this show does. And I have it right here. He's just talking to Vincent Adultman, and Vincent Adultman's responding in the way only a child would. But he says, sometimes I think I was born with a leak, and any goodness I started with just slowly spilled out of me, and now it's all gone. And I'll never get it back in me. It's too late. Life is a series of closing doors, isn't it? And you're like, oh, fuck, that's fucked up. And then he starts petting him with the broom.
And he goes,
good horsey. Well, because I think right before he does that, Bojack says, maybe Todd's right. You are pretty easy to talk to. And then he goes, good horsey, and pets him. And then Bojack like looks pissed off at first, and he's like, no, that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah. Because like it's the anthropomorphic?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. Those guys, right? They still have, like we were talking about earlier, they have like the hints of the animals still, you know, in terms of their personalities. And that's kind of like, he's like, oh, I'm enjoying being
a horse,
and being a horse, you know,
right.
like it's funny.
Yeah. Just a great bit at the end to end the episode, because you think they're gonna do like, oh, time to end the episode, all sad stuff, and they end it with Vincent Adultman carrying us.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I can't believe we talked about this episode for so long. After the last episode, we didn't talk about this long. I mean, I know there was some bits in there where we weren't talking about it, but I can't believe we're at 51 minutes on this episode. That's insane.
Yeah. Hey, look, you know, sometimes it happens.
Right. So let's do the categories, I guess.
Yeah. Mike.
Yes.
This is my part of the show, Mike. Don't you dare take it from me. This is all I have. No.
Sorry. Now, apparently you do all the show. I'm just here. I just edit the damn thing.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe Jason and I will do an episode.
No, you will not.
Okay, Mike, what's your favorite animal-based joke in the episode?
Okay, so I have two, actually, because they're both like interstitial, like in between scene spits. One is there is a goat mowing the lawn, and he has the return shooting right into his mouth, so the grass is going right into his mouth. Yeah, because you know they eat grass. Yeah. And then the other one is there's like a dog standing with a woman at a crosswalk, and I think it's Mr. Peanut Butter's car when he's chasing the mailman. I don't remember if that's when it happens, but a car goes by really fast, and it's one of those dogs that has like the really like saggy cheeks and tongue, and it flies up as the car goes fast, and it goes onto the woman's face, and she's covered in slobber after it comes back down. I like those, and then I just like the sloth being the lawyer. Yeah, you know, I know that's a bit that Zootopia stole later, but
yeah,
not
fucking
as a lawyer,
Zootopia,
but
dude.
just like as a sloth being a slow person you have to wait on. But I think the sloth lawyer shows up again later, which I'm excited about because he's one of my favorites. So those are my favorites.
Those are your three.
Yeah.
My favorite is Mr. Peanut Butter chasing the mail truck. I just it was so funny.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is a big moment for me on this podcast. If we look back at like.
You did not like Mr. Peanut Butter. Yeah,
because my favorite bit overall was Mr. Peanut Butter saying an insane story as we cut in or out of a scene with him.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is where we really get to get a lot of good Mr. Peanut Butter bits. He hasn't really been featured in the last couple episodes at all.
Yeah, like he was a big part of BoJack's kind of dilemma throughout these episodes. His conflict, because obviously Diane is. But he's not on screen, really.
I guess probably our A Story's a D Story is the last time he was heavily featured, which was 4 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a while since we've had good heaping helping of peanut butter, and now we're back.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich now.
Sounds good.
What was your favorite bit overall in the episode?
My favorite bit overall... probably Todd saying I'm not peeing, I'm just pulling my penis out. That I forgot about that joke, and it fucking got me when I was watching it today. I laughed so hard at that one.
And then for my favorite quote, I wrote down, "Officer, the mail truck pulled up right next to me. I got a bad vibe. What was I supposed to do? Not chase the mail truck?"
I think my favorite quotes are can I buy you an alcohol, or business transactions from Vincent Adultman.
Yeah. Those are really good as well.
Yep. And I like how later BoJack, when he's leaving, goes, "Good luck with your business transactions." And he goes, "Thanks." Because he's a kid. He doesn't fucking know.
Yeah. Wait. He's a what?
I had 3 kids. I'm sorry. 3 kids in a trench coat.
You're admitting.
Admitting what?
That he's 3 kids in a trench.
A good time?
God damn it. Anyways, the listeners will know that you just admitted that Vincent Adultman is in fact 3 listeners in a trench coat.
No one listens to this show. Anyway,
I thought you were gonna say that I thought you were gonna be like, "Sean, I'm gonna edit it out" or something. But you took it
no one listens to this show. Yeah. So next episode, Sean.
Yes.
Is called One Trick Pony.
And
And the synopsis on IMDb is, Bojack shoots a movie at Mr. Peanut Butter's house. Diane finishes her book.
He shoots a movie at Mr. Peanut Butter's house.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's like a porno?
It's not.
It'd be funny, though.
They actually have talked about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's the story of Mr. Peanut Butter stealing the Hollywood D. And you'll never guess who Bojack plays in the movie.
Is he gonna play Mr. Peanut Butter?
He's gonna play Mr. Peanut Butter. And you'll never guess who plays Bojack.
Is it
Not
Mr.
spoiling. No, it's not Mr. Peanut Butter. Not spoiling that one for you. That one's a wild one. But yeah, so that's the next episode, episode 10.
That's exciting.
This was episode 9, Horse Majeure, and we got 3 episodes left this season.
Yeah,
and that's exciting.
I feel like the end of the season is gonna break my soul.
So here's what I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
One Trick Pony.
Mm-hmm.
Similar episode to this week.
Okay.
Nothing too, crazy or heartbreaking in it, but it's got its typical Bojackness, but it's a funny episode. The episode after that is called Downer Ending.
Yeah, I can see that on Netflix.
And this episode starts a trend in BoJack Horseman of just the final episode before the final episode, right?
Uh-huh.
Just being an absolute nightmare shit show.
Okay.
I'll read you the synopsis right now. Bojack embarks on a project in his typically gonzo style, leading to a drug-fueled revelation.
Oh no.
And then the final episode of the season is called Later.
Oh no.
So basically Bojack, pretty much every season of BoJack Horseman has the episode 11, because there's 12 episodes in each season, I believe. But the penultimate episode, if you will, is like just nuts, just insane. The most freaked out and existential I've ever felt in my life is the second to final episode of this show.
Okay, cool.
It's just a thing they do.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's every season, if I remember correctly. It's just they do this thing where like people who are fans of the show who were watching it as it was coming out were like anticipating this kind of thing. Yep. The second to last episode of season 2 is the same way. Let's look at season 3. Yep, season 3 is the same way. Season 4? Yes. Oh man. These are all like every episode I'm looking at that's the second to last one are like top 5 like BoJack Horseman episodes.
Oh no.
Like they're just nutty and crazy. And so yeah, anyway, you have a lot to look forward to, Sean. This is going to be a wild ride. I hope you're strapped in, buddy.
I'm ready.
It's the kind of thing where we might have to take mental health breaks.
Yeah.
And I know I've teased this a lot, but it's just it's real. Like Jason told you. Jason said, "Hey man, you might want to be careful watching this show."
Yeah. Like listeners, you guys know Jason.
You know Jason.
Literally has said that.
Yep. And was being serious. Like it wasn't a joke.
Yeah, it wasn't like you might need it. It was like, dude, you might need it. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this show can get pretty heavy, man.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's always funny. Like there's always jokes. It's always comical, but it gets very heavy at times. So maybe we'll do a therapy episode where we just talk about our feelings or something. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm getting a little crazy.
Therapy has a different connotation now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. CBT, if you will.
Cognitive
behavioral therapy.
Dude, somebody brought up cognitive behavioral therapy at the Game Awards last night. I was like, ooh, don't do that.
Yeah, don't bring up CBT.
Anyways.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I hope you're ready to ride this wild Mr. Toad's wild ride with us. Mr. Bojack's wild ride. But yeah, thank you guys again. Sean, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_AFK. Everything that I do is in there.
And you can follow me on Twitter at SpikeGhetti Bros. And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SuperSpikeGhetti And Jason as well. Sean, I know we said we'd do it every other episode, but you know what? I feel like this is your episode. So go ahead and let him have it.
Okay. Suck a dick, dumb shits.
Ooh, that was good. I liked that one.